The sound of the slap echoed through the crowded supermarket, silencing conversations and freezing shoppers in their tracks. Marcus Jenkins stood stunned, his cheek burning, as the store manager glared at him with contempt. His 6-year-old daughter Emma clutched his leg, tears streaming down her face. No one moved, no one spoke, until someone pressed record on their phone. What happened in the next 3 minutes would change not just Marcus's life, but millions of others. If you've ever felt powerless against injustice, this story might just restore your faith in humanity. Like and subscribe to see more stories of ordinary people facing extraordinary moments that remind us what truly matters. Marcus Jenkins hadn't always been a single father. 3 years ago, he had a wife, a promising career as a graphic designer, and a beautiful home in the suburbs. Life wasn't perfect, but it was good. Then came the accident. A rainy night, a drunk driver, and suddenly Marcus was planning a funeral instead of their anniversary dinner. Emma, just 3 years old at the time, didn't understand why mommy wasn't coming home. Marcus barely understood it himself. The grief consumed him at first. He missed deadlines, forgot appointments, and struggled to get out of bed. His in-laws suggested taking Emma until he got back on his feet, but Marcus refused. Emma was all he had left of Sarah, and he was determined to be the father his daughter deserved. He quit his job at the design firm and started freelancing from home so he could be there for Emma. The pay was less consistent, but it allowed him to take her to school, help with homework, and tuck her in every night. By Emma's 6th birthday, they had settled into a new normal. Their apartment was smaller than their old house, and Marcus's savings had dwindled, but they were making it work. Emma was thriving in 1st grade, making friends and excelling in reading. Marcus had found a community of other single parents who shared childcare and advice. It wasn't the life he had planned, but he was proud of what they had built from the ashes of tragedy. That Friday had started like any other. Marcus dropped Emma at school with a kiss on the forehead and a reminder about her after-school playdate with her friend Lily. He spent the morning working on a logo design for a new client, then picked Emma up early. She'd been complaining about a stomachache the day before, and when the school nurse called to say she had a low-grade fever, Marcus immediately went to get her. "I'm sorry, Daddy," Emma said as they walked to the car. "I know you have work to do." Marcus squeezed her hand. "Don't worry about that, sweetheart. You're more important than any deadline." On the way home, Marcus realized they needed to stop for medicine and some easy-to-digest foods for Emma. The neighborhood pharmacy was crowded, so they went to the supermarket instead. Emma insisted she felt well enough to walk, but Marcus could see the fatigue in her eyes as they navigated the aisles. "Just a few more things," Marcus promised as they added crackers and ginger ale to their basket. "Then we can go home and watch that mermaid movie you like." They were in the medicine aisle when Emma suddenly doubled over, clutching her stomach. "Daddy, I'm going to be sick," she whispered urgently. Marcus looked around frantically. The bathrooms were at the front of the store, too far to reach in time. Without thinking, he grabbed an empty plastic bag from the roll near the produce section and held it for Emma just as she vomited. Relief washed over him that they had avoided a mess on the floor, but his relief was short-lived. "What do you think you're doing?" a sharp voice demanded. Marcus looked up to see a woman in her 40s wearing a store manager badge. Her name tag read Patricia Winters. "I'm sorry," Marcus began, still holding the bag. "My daughter is sick, and those bags are store property," Patricia cut him off. "And now you've contaminated them. Do you have any idea how unsanitary that is?" Marcus felt his face flush with embarrassment as nearby shoppers turned to stare. "I understand, but it was an emergency. I'll pay for the bags." Patricia's eyes narrowed. "This isn't about payment, it's about proper behavior in a place where people buy food. Where is this child's mother? She should know better than to bring a sick child into a public store." The question hit Marcus like a physical blow. Emma, still pale and shaky, pressed closer to his side. "I'm her father," Marcus said quietly, "her only parent, and we just needed to get some medicine." Patricia scoffed. "Well, you're clearly not equipped to handle this situation properly. Men never are. I see this all the time, fathers who think they can manage but have no idea what they're doing." Marcus felt a surge of anger but kept his voice level for Emma's sake. I need to get my daughter home. If you'll excuse us." As he tried to move past Patricia, she blocked his path. "Not until you've paid for that bag and the contaminated ones next to it." "Fine," Marcus said, reaching for his wallet. "How much?" "It's not about the money," Patricia insisted, her voice rising. "It's about teaching a lesson about responsibility." A small crowd had gathered now, watching the confrontation with uncomfortable expressions. Emma began to cry softly, overwhelmed by the attention and still feeling ill. "Please," Marcus said, his patience wearing thin. "My daughter needs to get home." "Your daughter needs a proper parent," Patricia snapped. "Not someone who lets her run around spreading germs." Something in Marcus snapped. 3 years of struggling alone, of doubting himself, of trying to be both mother and father to Emma while grieving his wife. It all boiled to the surface. "You have no right to judge me or my parenting," he said, his voice shaking. "You have no idea what we've been through, or what kind of father I am." Patricia stepped closer, jabbing a finger at his chest. "I know irresponsibility when I see it. This is exactly why children need mothers." Before Marcus could respond, Emma tugged at his hand. "Daddy, please, can we go home?" Her small voice trembled with tears. Marcus knelt down to her level. "Yes, sweetheart, we're going right now." As he stood up, Patricia grabbed his arm. "Don't you walk away from me, I'm not finished." Marcus gently removed her hand. "Yes, you are. We're leaving." What happened next occurred so quickly that later, when the video went viral, viewers would re-watch it multiple times to catch every detail. Patricia's face contorted with rage, and she swung her open palm, striking Marcus across the face with a crack that silenced the entire store. For a moment, no one moved. Marcus stood frozen, his cheek reddening from the impact. Emma's eyes widened in horror. And then, from somewhere in the gathered crowd, came the distinctive sound of a phone camera recording. Patricia seemed to realize what she had done. Her expression shifted from anger to shock. "You provoked me," she stammered. "Everyone saw it." But everyone had seen something else entirely. And someone was capturing it all. What happened next transformed a moment of cruelty into something unexpected. An elderly woman stepped forward from the crowd, positioning herself between Marcus and Patricia. "I saw everything," she announced in a clear, strong voice that belied her fragile appearance. "This young man was taking care of his sick child, and you assaulted him." A middle-aged man in a business suit joined her. "I'm calling corporate right now," he said, already dialing on his phone. That behavior was completely unacceptable. One by one, other shoppers stepped forward. A college student offered Marcus a cold bottle of water for his face. A mother with 2 children handed Emma a small stuffed animal from her purse. "For when you're not feeling well," she said gently. Patricia backed away, looking from face to face and finding no allies. "This isn't, you don't understand." "We understand perfectly," said a young woman who identified herself as a nursing student. "And I'd be happy to help this little girl to the bathroom if she needs it." The store's security guard arrived, followed by another manager. The crowd quickly explained what had happened, multiple voices confirming the same story. Someone mentioned the video, which was already being shared. Patricia was escorted to the back office. The second manager, a man named David, apologized profusely to Marcus and Emma, insisting that their purchases would be complimentary and offering to have someone deliver additional supplies to their home. "That's not necessary," Marcus said, still processing what had happened. "We just want to go home." David nodded. "Of course. But please take my card. The company will want to make this right." As Marcus and Emma walked toward the exit, customers they had never met offered words of support and encouragement. An older gentleman patted Marcus on the shoulder. "You're doing a great job, son. My wife died when our boys were young. It gets easier." In the parking lot, the woman who had recorded the incident approached them. Her name was Jasmine, and she was a content creator with a modest following on social media. "I hope you don't mind that I recorded that," she said. "People need to see what happened, but I wanted to ask your permission before I post it." Marcus hesitated. He had always been private, especially about his struggles as a single parent. But something about the community that had formed around him in the store made him reconsider. "What do you think will happen if you share it?" he asked. Jasmine considered this. "Honestly, I think people will be outraged at how you were treated. But more importantly, I think they'll be inspired by how you handled it, with dignity, putting your daughter first, and by how strangers came together to support you." Marcus looked down at Emma, who was looking better. "After the kindness shown by the strangers in the store, will it show her face?" "I can blur it if you prefer," Jasmine offered. After a moment's thought, Marcus agreed. If it might help other single parents feel less alone, then yes. What Marcus couldn't have anticipated was how quickly the video would spread. By the time he and Emma arrived home, settled on the couch with soup and the promised mermaid movie, Jasmine's post had already been shared thousands of times. By bedtime, it had reached hundreds of thousands. Overnight, it crossed into millions. The video, titled "Woman Manager Slapped a Single Father, What Happened Next Will Restore Your Faith in Humanity," didn't just capture the slap, it captured the community response, the elderly woman's defense, the businessman's call to corporate, the nursing student's offer of help, the mother's gift to Emma. It captured Marcus's restraint and dignity in the face of both the slap and the cruel comments about his parenting. By Saturday morning, Marcus's phone was buzzing constantly with notifications. Friends and family had recognized him, despite Jasmine's attempt to protect his privacy. His in-laws called, concerned and supportive, for the first time in months. Former colleagues reached out with messages of solidarity. Then came the media requests. Local news wanted interviews, national morning shows sent emails, parenting blogs sought his perspective on single fatherhood, companies that made products for children offered sponsorships. Marcus declined most of them, uncomfortable with the attention. But when a support group for widowed parents asked if he would share his story at their next meeting, he said yes. When a local fathers' rights organization invited him to speak about the challenges single fathers face, he agreed. The supermarket chain issued a public apology and announced that Patricia had been terminated. They also revealed a new training program for all employees on supporting diverse family structures and handling sensitive situations with compassion. A week after the incident, Marcus received a letter from a man in another state who had lost his wife to cancer and was raising 3 children alone. "Watching how you protected your daughter while maintaining your dignity gave me strength," he wrote. "On my hardest days, I remember that I'm not alone in this journey." Similar messages poured in from single parents across the country, mothers and fathers who saw themselves in Marcus's struggle and resilience. Many shared their own stories of judgment and discrimination, of being underestimated and overlooked. Jasmine, whose channel had grown exponentially thanks to the viral video, approached Marcus with a proposal. "People want to hear more from you," she explained. "Not just about the incident, but about your journey as a single dad. Would you consider collaborating on a series about single parenting?" Marcus was hesitant. "I'm not an expert. I'm just figuring it out day by day." "That's exactly why people connect with you," Jasmine insisted. "You're authentic, and think about how many other parents you could help feel less alone." After discussing it with Emma, who was excited by the idea of helping other kids who only have one parent, Marcus agreed to a limited series. They would focus on practical challenges, balancing work and childcare, handling school events designed for 2 parents, navigating holidays and anniversaries, as well as emotional ones. The first video, titled "How We Remember Mom," showed Marcus and Emma creating a memory box filled with photos, letters, and small mementos of Sarah. They talked openly about grief, about how it changes but never disappears, about finding joy even while carrying loss. The response was overwhelming. Comments flooded in from viewers who had experienced similar losses, who found comfort in seeing their own struggles reflected and validated. Parents shared how they had used Marcus's memory box idea with their own children. Therapists praised the healthy approach to grief and remembrance. Subsequent videos tackled topics like when your child needs a female role model and self-care for single parents. Each one combined practical advice with emotional honesty, never pretending that single parenthood was easy, but always emphasizing its rewards. 3 months after the supermarket incident, Marcus received an unexpected email from Patricia Winters, the former manager who had slapped him. She had been following his videos and wanted to apologize in person. After careful consideration, Marcus agreed to meet her at a neutral location, a park where Emma could play while they talked. Patricia looked different, humbled, less rigid. She explained that losing her job had forced her to confront some uncomfortable truths about herself. I was raised to believe that families need a mother and father, with each playing specific roles, she admitted. When my own marriage failed, I doubled down on those beliefs rather than questioning them. Seeing you with your daughter triggered something in me. Maybe envy that you seemed to be succeeding where my ex-husband struggled, maybe fear that my worldview was wrong. Marcus listened without interrupting. When she finished, he said, simply, "Thank you for your apology." Patricia hesitated. "There's something else. After everything happened, I started volunteering at a community center that supports single-parent families. I've seen firsthand how diverse family structures can be healthy and loving. I've been working to unlearn my biases." Marcus watched Emma on the swings, her laughter carrying across the playground. "That's good to hear. Would you consider—" Patricia paused, gathering courage. "Would you consider including my perspective in one of your videos? Not to excuse what I did, but to show that people can change, can learn from their mistakes." The old Marcus might have refused, protecting himself and Emma from further connection to a painful incident. But the Marcus who had experienced the outpouring of support from strangers, who had built a platform based on honesty and growth, considered the potential impact. "I'll think about it," he promised. 2 weeks later, Jasmine's channel featured a new video, Confronting Bias, a conversation about change. It showed Marcus and Patricia in thoughtful dialogue about assumptions, about judgment, about the possibility of growth. The comment section reflected the complexity of forgiveness. Some viewers applauded Patricia's accountability, others remained skeptical, but all engaged with the difficult questions raised. 1 year after the slap that went viral, Marcus stood on a stage at a national conference for single parents, looking out at hundreds of faces that reflected his own experience. Emma sat in the front row, now 7 years old and flourishing despite the challenges she had faced. "When my wife died," Marcus began, "I thought I had to be perfect. I thought I had to be both mother and father to my daughter. I thought any mistake would prove that a single father couldn't possibly be enough." He paused, looking at Emma's encouraging smile. "What I've learned from that day in the supermarket, from all of you who shared your stories with me, from this incredible journey we've been on, is that parenting isn't about perfection. It's about presence. It's about showing up day after day, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard." The audience nodded in recognition. That slap could have been just another moment of judgment, another reminder of how the world sometimes views single parents. Instead, it became a catalyst for connection. It reminded all of us, that we are not alone. Marcus gestured to the diverse crowd before him, single mothers and fathers, grandparents raising grandchildren, foster parents, all united by their commitment to children who needed them. We are not half families, we are whole families, complete in our love and dedication. And when we stand together, when we support each other, when we share our struggles and our triumphs, we create a community stronger than any bias or judgment. The applause was thunderous. Emma ran to the stage and threw her arms around her father's waist. As Marcus lifted her up, cameras captured the moment. Not of viral conflict this time, but of enduring love. In the years that followed, Marcus's platform evolved. He wrote a book about his experience. He advocated for policies supporting single-parent families.